Hello everyone, welcome to BTV. Conditions are excellent here for men's Premier Division action. It's Beeston versus Brooklands, Manchester University, and it does look like an excellent game in prospect for us. Let's fill you in with a few details, by the way. You can see we've got blue sky and a little bit of wind. Let's have a look what the weather centre is saying right now. We've got a slight bit of wind, nice 10 degrees outside, very, very unlikely to rain, and conditions are optimal, so all things are looking good. This is the way the other fixtures in the competition are looking today in the top 6 split. Wimbledon host Holcombe, Old Georgians. It could be a big day for them. They're travelling to Hampstead and Westminster. Surbiton host East Grinstead. In the bottom 5, it's University of Exeter versus Durham University for the second time in a couple of weeks. And we're focusing here on Beeston versus Brooklands, Manchester University. I'm Andy Day. Alongside me is Steve Musson. What are we expecting today, Steve?
Yes, good afternoon, Andy. This will be a competitive game because fixtures between Beeston and Brooklands always are. Both sides have done really well in this bottom 5 playoff championship, really, to try to secure their place in the Premier League for next year. And I think both sides know that a point or 3 points is going to see them safe for next year. In that case, then, let's pull up the table now and have a look at the position at the start of the games. This was this morning, so there's no other games have been plugged into this yet. So you can see that Oxford are slightly ahead of Beeston by a point. Oxford at 19, Beeston at 18. Brooklands, Manchester University, 13 points. So today, Brooklands would likely secure the points that would secure their position for the next season. I think that's right, yes. Turning it around, Beeston could more than cement their place in the division today. Yes, they could, and I think their win away at Oxted last week was excellent for them. It put them into quite a strong position in the league. Two university sides battling away down there, and I think they must have played each other 6 or 7 times this year, and of course there was that huge victory for University of Exeter against Durham, 9-0, which was a surprise. Yeah, and for that to be your only win of the season as well, that's more than a highlight. The teams about to make their way onto the field of play. We'll introduce you to the teams shortly as they make their way on. You can see today's umpiring team in green, and everyone is set to go. Neil Smith and Isaac Charles, the officials with the whistles. Bev Deakin is in the centre of your shot now, ready for any activity with a clipboard. So the team's walking out, all set for what promises to be a very good competitive game. I think that's right. I'm looking forward to seeing Henry Croft again. He didn't score last weekend, but his hat-trick a couple of weekends ago was something to behold. And also mention for the Brooklands goalkeeper, Alex Earlham, homegrown talent, very good goalkeeper, and young lad as well, so that'll be interesting to see how he goes today. Indeed. So the teams are lining up, and even the ball patrol are in on the act today. Good to see the ball patrol as ever. As the teams fist bump their way along the line, let's talk us through the match day 16. Starting firstly with the Beeston match day 16. There's quite a few familiar faces, but also some new faces in there too. Yep, that's right. Ollie Firth. He's come up through the Beeston ranks and finds himself picked for the first team for the first time. Very talented forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. He's a young lad as well. Another homegrown talent, and dare I mention it, Stephen Wood back on the list. I wouldn't say he was a youngster. No, but I think experienced. Absolutely, is a very polite way of phrasing it. Yes. That also, we're glossing over it, but that highlights there's a few difficulties with selection at the moment. Yeah, I think a few injuries picked up, and of course the second team fixture was before the game, and it was difficult to integrate any of them with the first team. So you can see the Beeston team all in black today, getting their instructions. Simon Hudgwan in the red goalkeeping outfit. Let's turn our attention to the visitors, Brooklands, Manchester University. You were mentioning Alex Earlham, the goalkeeper. Who else stands out for you in that side? Well, the Flanagans seem to have been at Brooklands forever. Dangerous players. David Flanagan as a forward, and his brother Peter Flanagan, the captain, particularly with regard to penalty corners, which Beeston won't want to be giving away. And then there's the old Beeston players, former Beeston players. Aidan Cares still there, and Leo Watton's on the list, who was also at Beeston for a while. So very noisy welcome to the teams. Also plenty of support here today, and the spectator gallery that we can see as well, so the support is always welcome.
A quick word before we get underway. A cracking result yesterday for Beeston women away at East Grinstead, but we'll probably come back to that with more time to spare, because it looks like we're all set to go. We were going to bring you that update before the start of the game, but timings have slightly changed.
Yeah, they're all ready to go.
So we know Beeston are in all black today. Brooklands, Manchester University, who we'll refer to as Brooklands throughout, I think, for ease of timing, in white, blue and red, and they will be starting the game.
Well, again, there's purely in sporting terms, there's no love lost between these two sides. They are always close games. We've seen that in recent years, extremely competitive. All the players know each other from both sides pretty well. It'd be interesting to see who gets on top first.
I've heard it described, even though there's quite a lot of distance, it's a derby game.
Yes,
there's a derby feel to this.
There's always pre-season fixtures because it's one of the nearest, stronger teams for Beeston to play. We travel to Brooklands and they too down here for fixtures, and so it's a familiar match in general, really.
So Beeston getting a first extended touch of the ball, and Brooklands happy to linger on halfway, not really putting a press on at the moment.
No, that's right, just sound each other out a bit, really, so a lot of time for Beeston to move the ball around amongst the back four and find that way through the midfield players.
First real probing ball forward has been picked out of the air, and Beeston win the ball back impressively in midfield.
We have a present Robbie Gleeson. We talk about him a lot, actually, with his pace. I think pretty much had a good season as Robbie this year, and continues to dominate things from both the midfield and occasionally dropping into the back four, as you can see now.
A little bit more pressure coming in. That's Andrew Jackson with the number 8 on his back for Brooklands.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the first slip up, an opportunity to pinch the ball.
Nice movement, and Panasar, we saw a couple of weeks ago, the quick movement of the ball in midfield was one of the things that really stood out for me.
Yeah, I agree with that, Andy. I think he's a skillful player, so you can use him as an outlet in the middle part of the pitch. Doesn't turn the ball over too many times from there.
Over to Dan Vincent, has a look up, thought about going along the line, checks back and plays it backwards, and this is Brooklands' first opportunity to feel the pace of the ball.
Yeah. Both sides, at the start of matches, teams need to get on the ball as often as possible, maintain the possession for longer periods of time so that all players get used to how the game's going to progress. Security in passing. Steady
First couple of minutes. We're not expecting goals within the first 30 seconds every week, but yes, it's a steady start, and this is Connor Sine who's had a look up and decided to play it backwards. Beeston building something now down the right hand side. Robbie Gleeson fires it towards the top of the circle. Loose ball, opportunity played in, and that's been nudged behind, and look at the frustration on Samapula. He thought he could have tucked that away, I think.
Yeah, I think he would like to have got that shot away a little bit quicker, but the Brooklands defender was in very quickly and managed to get a stick in the way.
Long corner for Beeston, and Panasar decides to roll the ball back rather than go aggressive. You can see a flag waving in the crowd there from Brooklands supporters who've travelled today.
Plenty of them.
Nice run.
This is a good run.
Towards the edge of the circle on the reverse side. Goalkeeper's appealing, and it is a defensive hit out after the end of that.
So again, two good attacks from Beeston so far, just trying to get that ball into the dangerous D. Brooklands will want to try and do that at the other end, obviously.
Although gifting possession away via the side, it looks like. Yeah. Bouncing ball taken up by Apula, who was nearly robbed of it, but Beeston's still in possession.
Yeah, you've got to keep that awareness about you. The players can come at you from all directions, and particularly forwards who track back to defend. You need to make sure that you're sharp to that and you're aware already of their presence. Good work back there. Very good
hustle. There is support there. You can see Gareth Griffiths in the centre of your picture right now, moving towards the ball. Still with Brooklands in a tight spot. They've come out of it pretty well from that position.
They have. Good example there of how forwards can do good defensive work, tracking back. We've seen it in two little plays, one from Brooklands, one from Beeston. Very important that forwards do that defensive work as well. The game of hockey is very fast, and you don't have time as a forward just to stand waiting for the next attack. You have to get involved.
Just looking at some of the facts and figures, Beeston 4 wins out of their last 6. Brooklands 2 out of that same spell.
Yes, yeah. And I think, obviously, with this new format, just see how
Good ball
happens
into the
here.
circle. There's a trap, and there's play towards the goal, and that's been knocked away at a critical moment at the expense of a long corner.
That looked like a really open position for, I think that was, I couldn't quite see who that was actually, but a really open position to get the shot off, but didn't really hit it with any power.
It may have been topped into the ground a bit. Maybe we'll see it again on the highlights, but that was one of those moments you expected to see the ball
Brendan
hit
Andrews
netting.
it was, and I think he didn't think he had as much time as he did.
Another promising break towards the right-hand side. Beeston free hit outside the circle. Really the better of the two sides in these early exchanges, but there's an awful lot of game left.
Yeah, I think Beeston have cottoned onto the fact that the target is getting the ball to the D, and they've done that 4 or 5 times now. So the next thing is to upgrade that to something like a corner or
Bouncing
a shot.
Foul in the middle of all of that.
Not quite controlled, I don't think, and the hit was a bit high across the D. But promising signs, obviously, just making sure that they, that they are putting the Brooklands defence under pressure all the time.
Neatly done through
very
the
nicely
middle.
passed. Yeah.
Dan Vincent with a probing ball forward, and Felix Tully, that is number 7, who was hoping to receive it, but he didn't come near it.
The layoff in the middle of the park there was very neat to get that ball over to the left-hand side of the pitch. It was just the forward pass, didn't connect with the higher forward.
Griffiths has the time to look and check backwards. Ball just popping up off the surface, and the pace of it has gone down a touch, and that's allowed Joe Paul to come under a little bit of pressure. Beeston still in control of the ball on halfway. Aerial towards the right-hand side, taken down. Aerial. Samapula wins a free hit and was about to make his way towards the edge of the circle. Frustration on his face again.
That's been given because Samapula was beneath the ball as its trajectory was heading towards him, and the defender closed him down too close. That's considered to be dangerous.
Brooklands will come out of it. And into the 7th minute on BTV. No goals yet. Beeston looking the better of the two sides in these early exchanges.
I think Brooklands have they've played quite deep so far, and I'd expect them to change that at some point and try and work that ball forward with much higher intent, higher press as well. When Beeston have the ball, I think we'll find Brooklands get themselves ahead a bit more. Here we go. This is
possibility, and that's a really, really important bit of defending. Trying to play the ball at the right time was the critical moment, and this has worked out really well. Andrew Rusbridge has come a long way to the edge of the circle. First time the ball's been in the Beeston circle. Bit of a scramble.
Needed tidying up. Aidan Cares was close to picking that up in quite a dangerous and open part of the D. Beeston have tidied that up nicely.
Here's Apula, who's been in the thick of pretty much all the action so far, trying to find Ben Collinson. That one rolls all the way out.
Yeah, forward passes down the flanks, very useful, but the higher forwards have to work so hard sometimes to get on the end of these passes. I've seen twice the ball go off the pitch from the pass down the flanks. Here we go again with Henry Croft.
Trying to put a bit of power into the ball in towards the circle, bounces a couple of times. Umpire tells us it's a long corner. There must have been the slightest of touches on
there somewhere.
Beeston really not wasting any time, are they? And I think maybe too quick for Robbie Gleeson on the restart. Possession with Brooklands, and running into traffic is Andrew Rusbridge.
Yeah, Andrew Rusbridge's defence and awareness that he needed to defend was excellent there, and he managed to stop Robbie Gleeson getting somewhere near to a shot.
Ben Wallace gets us going in just inside the Beeston half.
Bit of space there.
This is Andrew Hobson, number 10.
A little bit more possession growing for Brooklands now, and they'll be wanting to see that result in something
huge amount
dangerous.
Of space,
yeah, there is
to work into on the Brooklands left-hand side, and that's currently being filled by Dan Vincent, who's coming into view now.
Yeah, they just mistrapped that on the far side, and that's given the possession back to Beeston. We do see this in games, Andy. From each time there is a game, it ebbs and flows. Teams get different phases and have to work hard on the defence, and then they get chances to attack. And we've seen a little bit of that toing and froing today.
What's the approach here? Is there an aerial ball coming? Yes, there is, towards the right-hand side of the D. Again, Apula takes it down neatly. Support is coming. And it's Connor Sine who's in possession now. Has to go round the long way. Gets the sideline ball. More noise coming from the players on the field of play. Hopefully you're picking it up from where you're watching us today. Joe Paul with a swept ball out to the left-hand side. Moving quickly around the edge.
Yeah, I've seen good use of aerials from Beeston on 2 or 3 occasions already, using the aerial as a quality pass into open space, and it's been picked up very well on a couple of occasions.
Slower, more deliberate ball.
Got through a very tight gap, that pass.
Here's a good angle to put the ball in. That's been opted against. It's towards the baseline now, into the circle. Chance here. And that's just...
This penalty corner, yes.
That was so close to being turned in, but second prize is a penalty corner. First of the game for Beeston. That's, I thought the ball was going to get shot directly into the circle. There was a great angle. You'll see it here. Look at that. I thought that was the moment, but it's gone out to the right-hand side.
And
nice.
Sits for ages in front of the goal with nobody on it there.
I think Eddie Harper was almost underneath it.
Who was? It'd be interesting to see if they use Josh Pavis on the flick. Brooklands defence just putting on all the defensive equipment protective equipment that they need for these penalty corners.
First time out of the box in every game, it's always a bit longer, isn't it?
It is, that's right. Yeah, nobody wants to leave any kit off at this point.
Pavis, who's 3 penalty corners to his name. He's the highest converter in the current Beeston squad. And the reason I say the current Beeston squad is that Kai Aichinger is on 4, but he's no longer with the club.
No, that's right. Went back to Germany at Christmas, unfortunately. Robbie Gleeson on the injection. He wants to get this out as quick as possible to give the flicker the most amount of time.
A little shuffle towards the left-hand side, and someone's broken quickly. And you can see the Brooklands defensive line are saying, but there was the movement towards the ball, so one for the umpire to decide. Yeah, I think the right answer is, let's just reset.
Do it again, yeah. I think Robbie Gleeson was, I saw him move there, and I think he's fortunate to get away with that. It's better.
Towards the right-hand side of the circle, Lowe's taken a couple of touches and crunched through the air. Almost baseball style.
Yes, yeah, hard to get an accurate shot in that situation. The ball was bouncing high, but also quite dangerous.
Again,
got the long corner.
Quite fortunate for Beeston to come away with, given the nature of the shot, to come away with a ball here. But they've restarted with pace towards the baseline again. This time it's Eddie Harper playing it in towards Connor Sine. 2 of them linking up under pressure from Brooklands, and that is very, very good indeed.
Not a lot of space in the corners when you get into that kind of position, but he's used some good tricky skills there. Chance for a transfer, that's getting the ball out from those tight areas into much more open space.
Drag the Brooklands defensive unit out of position a tiny bit, and let them have to give them something else to think about. This is the sort of game in on paper where Beeston have, I wouldn't say dominated, but have been on top.
Yes.
And the opponents have scored.
That has happened, yeah, that's right. And I think Brooklands will be quite comfortable with this so far. They've defended pretty well. They've not been under too much pressure, just a couple of times in the corner, but... There's
a tricky ball. Again, just choosing the right moment. I think there was a bit too much weight.
There was.
W-A-I-T
yes.
in that ball.
Yeah, it's so important sometimes because defenders close down the man on the ball very quickly. Sometimes you have to get that ball off the stick and make sure that you create as much time as possible for your forwards.
Nice pace. Panesar really bringing the pace back into that restart. A lot of white shirts, the ball being taken towards the baseline. There is a free hit.
It's a foot, I think, there, so restart on that far side of the pitch. Sometimes the safest and most accurate route out is to get it back into your back 4 and restart again. You can see how that's been swapped sides completely in a short space of time.
trying to thread the eye of the needle, and there's a turnover and pressure coming. And not much in the way of support. James Lavers, he was a little bit on his own for Brooklands for a period.
He was. And this is Brooklands finding their way towards the Beeston D. First time we've seen them do this. But it's come off a turnover from a poor pass. I think it was trying to be threaded through too tight a gap. Easy for Brooklands to pick that ball up and create their own counter-attack.
Wallace, ball out to the left. This is a better pace all round, I think, than the first couple of exchanges.
Yes.
Wallace again comes into... it's the third time Samakud has been frustrated by either an outcome or something.
I think he feels he's making quite clean tackles and getting the stick to the ball, and then he's being penalised for other things. That would have been nice to pick that up just there in the middle of the park. But
I think Joe Waterson was closest to that.
Yeah, needs to throw himself at that, make sure he gets the ball, not just dangle the stick. It's being eliminated quite easily there, so not really offering much of a barrier.
That's a nice take. Ball carried over halfway, dropped in towards Apula, tries to go for the 1-2.
Really good work, defensive work from Brooklands, and a nice connection.
Watson using a few shoulders, and that's not nice at all.
I wonder if this umpire coming across here, just have a word. Yeah, so slight change in the way the game's progressed a bit now. A little bit more possession for Brooklands, finding their way nearer to the Beeston D.
We were going to go for a restart, but I don't think the chat is over quite yet.
I think there we go. The whistle's gone for a restart, so we're off again.
Yep, nobody's gone for a sit down, by the way, so there's no cards being shown. I think that may set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yes.
Ball into the circle again. Lots of bodies in between the root of the ball and the goal. And it's had to have been shepherded out by Will Prentice, who did very well.
He's done well there, because Brooklands were definitely looking for a corner.
You can throw a blanket over pretty much all of the players at the moment. Is there a route out? Is the umpire going to rule on this? He's right over the ball.
Yeah, Beeston finding a very gradual way out of it. And there they've
stick.
won a free hit there, so gives them a chance to get the ball out.
Again, a very, very noisy playing surface. Nice outlet.
Excellent little aerial, excellent. Good lead from the forward to pick the ball up.
And the run continues as well. Panesar with a 1-2, really
that's better.
Risky, but when you know what you're doing, you know you can back your skills. You know it's going to work.
Well, we've just been talking about how strong he is in that midfield position, and then he dipped the ball on and nearly turned it over.
But didn't, critically.
No, he didn't. Now the pass has been missed there, and the ball's run loose again to Beeston.
About a minute to go until the first quarter time break.
Brooklands' defensive shape's very good. It's been hard for Beeston to break through. I know they've been in the D a few times, but Brooklands seems to have mopped up most of Beeston's attacks easily. Just the one corner. Little bit of care needed there. It's almost since we talked about Suki Panesar's skills that he seems to have started giving the ball away.
Often it's described as the opposite of the Midas touch.
Yes. A lot of space there. That is a huge amount of space for the Brooklands transferred ball.
Well, lots of disguise on that one. That looked like it was going out to the left, but went in towards the circle. But it's been... are we coming back... because that looked like a fair ball in, so something must have happened, and that's the end of the quarter. That's what it was.
I think the ball fed in. The forward had a moment's thought that he could have deflected that onto a foot right before the quarter break, and maybe won that first corner for Brooklands.
Half-time score on BTV: Beeston 0, Brooklands Manchester University 0. Beeston have had a penalty corner in that quarter, which they weren't able to convert. They've been arguably the better side.
Yes, I think there's been more progress towards Brooklands D by Beeston, but the last few attacks from Brooklands have shown signs as how they can get to the D and feed the ball in there, and that's what Beeston have got to be aware of. A few too many turnovers in the middle of the pitch, just giving Brooklands an advantage.
Whilst we've got this quarter-time break, let's quickly look back at Saturday's action. A cracking win for the women yesterday away at East Grinstead. And yes, it's 3-2 away win. Goal scorers Borrell, Newitt and Huddleston for Beeston. Cracking win for them. Surbiton 3, Clifton Robinson 0. Surbiton looking like they're going to take the title again.
Yes.
And a away win for Wimbledon.
Yes. Yeah.
Swansea in action both days this weekend. A win and a first win of the season for them yesterday at Loughborough Students. They're staying in the Midlands and playing University of Birmingham today. That's Sunday the 20th of March. The women's table in the top 6 looks like this. Beeston moving to 20 points for the season, 6 wins under their belt, and a win against East Grinstead, who were looking to close the gap on Surbiton.
Yes, I think that's been, from Beeston's point of view, an excellent performance to get themselves onto 20 points. Bit of a gap there up to 4th, Hampstead.
And the women are the subject of our next BTV. That's against Wimbledon on the coming Saturday. So back to the game at hand. We're here at Nottingham Hockey Centre overlooking the pitch. No goals, and it will be Brooklands to restart. Again in the white, blue and red, attacking the car park end.
Yeah, a few signs of Brooklands beginning to build some attacks. I mean, Beeston really need to sort of finish off one of the ones that they've had so far, because they have had opportunities.
Quick start, long corner. Nice from Henry Croft again, no messing around.
Yeah, I think he's very direct as a player in everything that he does, and we saw those goals the other week. Nice to see him do similar today. But I think the forwards need to be fed a little bit more, and certainly when the ball does go to the forwards, it needs to be held up longer in those dangerous higher parts of the pitch.
Gift of a turnover via the side.
That's exactly the point I'm making, really. That's not very helpful there, because Beeston had lots of space for passing and they've just given it back to Brooklands. Good attempt at a step in from Brendan Andrews there, but Brooklands have survived that. And
Wood moving it along quickly and running into traffic, the player who received the ball. And there's a foot that Gareth Griffiths has generated.
Yes. Nice easy way to create yourself a bit of time. Just put it on a foot and restart again, which is what Beeston's doing. Brooklands dropping a long way back, so they're almost entirely in their own half. This passing around the back is sort of exploring options and trying to find gaps through to more dangerous parts of the pitch, but very important that the Beeston higher player picks the ball up, doesn't just give it away like that. Basics.
You saw, almost unnoticed, there was a black shirted Beeston player running through the middle of the pitch to get back in defence in all of that. I think they're much more alert as a unit as to potential threats.
Yes, yeah, I think that's true.
And another freebie of a turnover.
Yeah, well, these are opportunities that you can feed off. If a team is giving the ball back to you this many times, you want to make sure that you make use of that by getting it somewhere dangerous, keeping a greater level of possession yourself, and making sure that you don't make silly mistakes. I think Josh Pavy's been caught in a couple of mines 2 or 3 times really, not necessarily seeing enough movement ahead of him to know where an obvious pass is. And again, the ball fed to Will Prentice, and he's just let it come off his stick. I mean, that's just not helpful. Brooklands doing similar, so there's a catalogue of errors for both teams at the minute.
It's not been a vintage couple of minutes, has it? But more mistakes means more chances of goals being scored, and Brooklands, Felix Tully, number 7, busting a gut to get up involved in this one. As there's a big appeal, and what are we going to see here?
Well, Joe Paul feels that there was a stick block there, and I think that's and a stick block is where the stick is put in the way of the defender trying to get at the ball, and that's an offence. So the ball's gone to Beeston. I think the major feature of the last 5 minutes really has been the number of times for both teams that they've had good opportunities to feed the ball into space, and the receiving player has missed the ball or turned it over. Just slows everything down.
progress down the
Skills.
left-hand side towards the baseline,
Oh.
whipped in towards the circle, and that was just behind. Is that Croft who was furthest forward? No, it isn't. It is
Brendan Andrews, I think, on the ball. He's been robbed quite easily. A lot more strength needed. And again, we see the Brooklands player just running it off the side of the pitch. So
it's been a frustrating day for the majority of players on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, you could have this as a bit of a video lesson for players, but you'd be looking just purely at errors, I think.
This one for the this particular spell, at least one for the BTV video nasties.
Headed what not to do in the game. Look,
Which will be
another one.
available on VHS this Christmas.
Yes.
Running back from Will Prentice, trying to make a block, but it's been mopped up on
both
the
teams
pass.
behaving in exactly the same manner. And that's been stolen. Now this is a bit more dangerous. This isn't a good area.
First shooting chance, played towards the goal, blocked by the pads.
Good straightforward save and kick out from Simon Hudran. Tricky Aidan Cares nearly finding that connection with Mike Wood on the baseline.
Long corner, waiting for it is Andrew Hobson.
Yeah, good possession here. This is strung together 5 or 6 passes now, and that's often. And there we go. There's the turn, the inevitable turnover, Andy. Oh,
That's 6 out of 10, I think, on that dive.
good old-fashioned sandwich tackle there. That's,
At the top of the circle they go. Not the connection that anybody wanted there.
Really just a hit and a hope on the edge of the D, but Brooklands defending those sorts of passes into the D very well. I mean, how many times have we seen Beeston have to start from this position again? Brooklands defending it, getting it out, not really holding possession themselves. And the pattern is getting a little bit familiar.
It's slowed down almost into those first moments again, where both teams really want to build up their confidence in possession of the ball and not give anything silly away. And this is what we're seeing. Beeston starting to bring the ball further forward, but that easy turnover.
It was very Gareth Griffiths' ball to Henry Croft was given effectively to a Brooklands player, so here they go again. And a miss trap. So I think there's a lot to do with this interplay for both teams, that whichever one gets to grips with it and starts to improve.
Making the way to the edge of the circle, shooting opportunity on the reverse side, and that was Brendan Andrews with the opportunity.
Yeah, good defence again. We've seen that kind of strong defence from Brooklands a couple of times now. We're still going to have to make sure they create some good passing lines in the D to get away from these strong, low defenders.
Andrew Hobson, who's had a good few minutes, and the camera's been picking up a lot of the good work he's been doing for Brooklands. This now towards the corner, taking a defensive touch, long corner to be played.
Yeah, I think whichever team strings together this line of passes and makes a connection within the D is likely to get the opening goal. I mean, both sides have done it a bit, but there's been a lot of opportunities missed where the basics have just been lacking. Some of the passing around the back has been quite good, but it's these connections as both teams move forward that's missing.
A third of the game's gone. It has the feel that one goal might be ultimately deciding this one.
Yes,
so it's important to get the first one.
It could be one of those games, Andy, where, and we've seen them before, haven't we, where it takes a long time for a goal and then it opens up. But we'll see whether that's the pattern or not.
Yeah, either it's one goal that decides it, or it opens the
Or it
floodgates.
goes mad.
Yes.
Yes.
Steady possession, just trying to find a route through. Nice shapes being played, but Beeston able to step in and mop up.
And it's each time that ball's fed to a higher player and it's not picked up that all of a sudden the turnover is given to the opposite side. That's a really nice pass. And again, we see it. That ball's fed forward, bit of skill from Henry Croft, reverse stick, but not collected.
Nice pace on that ball as well. Not that I'm trying to highlight the missed trap more than anything, but that was a nicely
It
placed
was,
pass.
yeah. Just a bit more hand-eye coordination, and you're in a strong position. Bit of work on the training ground, I think. Just a solid hour of pass and receive. Very boring, but necessary.
When you've got a grumpy team, that's the most
Yes.
receptive.
Now has a bit of a space. Still alive.
A puller into the circle left hand side, finds the shot, now it's been blocked away by Alex Earlham. Still live.
Yeah, really confident save from Alex Earlham there. Didn't look troubled by the shot, and it was on target.
Again, the noise of the players on the field of play and also the coaching staff as well.
Yes.
It's good to hear that communication. Very committed set of teams. We were saying earlier on about it having a derby feel to it.
Yes, that's right. And I think some of the coaching calling that we're getting is as a result of the frustration that they're seeing and this high number of turnovers. Stuck a bit in the corner here.
Long corner, the sweep of the hand shows.
It's one thing you can do in the tight area of that corner. If you get the decision, then you start from a much more open part of the pitch.
There was a ball on. I was just going to say that this is the opportunity, and it's been blown up as a defensive hit.
Yep, came up off Henry Croft's stick, I think, and just made it too dangerous for anybody to continue playing.
I was looking at the Brooklands squad in the build-up for this, and quite a few new faces. Nick Hale, Mike Wood, Callum Middleton, James Labours, Ben Wallace. Yeah. All new faces at the start of the season.
Yeah, that's right. I think players in the area who've the Manchester location, found their way to Brooklands, obviously, as the lead club up there. Competition, of course, is rife between Brooklands and Bowden. Down the league below.
Looking at some of the teams, you said, Nick Hale came from Sheffield Hallam, University of Birmingham. Mike Wood was plucked from Alderley Edge. Callum Middleton, one of the Manchester teams. Yeah. James Labours, though, backed up from Reading.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of movements occurs with students, university students, and the like. But the gravitation of players towards London has been difficult for northern clubs. Are we northern in Nottingham? I think not as far as London clubs are concerned.
we're getting told to not talk about that. Editorial, we can't talk about that, I'm afraid. We are rolling again. 29th minute, no score on BTV. Engaging game. But it's looking needing a spark.
Yes. Oops. That was Beeston with his pace.
He's done very well here. He's gone through 3 challenges and he's directing where he wants the ball, and that's exactly. Oh, nice idea trying to find Joe Paul. I think it must have taken a touch on the way through.
Yes, it did. Yeah. But this is what Robbie's capable of. He has a huge turn of pace and some pretty good stick work as well, and it can get him away from not just a player but the line of defence against him, and he's done that very well there.
Josh Pavis stands over the ball, rolls it back for the restart, spread out towards the left-hand side from Gleeson.
Too easy.
It's one to chase now. Who will win the race? Will it be kept in, or will it be...
Oh, he's got it, yes.
Done very well. I think that's James Labours, 15, who was pulling out all the stops. There's a
good bit of skill there.
Ball in the circle. Big appeal for the Beeston defenders.
Nicely watched. Gareth Griffiths there, just watching that onto the stick, very calmly taking that away. Lots of skill, lots of control of the stick there on the way out from Connor Sign.
Ball bouncing around the edge of the circle, being defended and shielded. Ooh, and that's given away. Shooting opportunity played in, and it's wide of the upright. Simon Hujwan having to spread himself really wide to try and block the ball.
He's had to make 2 saves now, and little signs of things really. A bit of a turnover too close to the D from Gareth Griffiths. He won't be comfortable with that, but they've got away with it.
Times like this, I often reach into the commentary locker of things to say at times like this. And it's the half-time chat. What would both teams be looking towards improving or attacking in the second half?
Well, I think the dominant feature for both teams is the way in which they have managed to start a build-up of play, and then it's broken down when it's got to the higher players, so advancing midfielders or forwards who've actually not trapped the ball. And that, of course, leads to this end-to-end play that we've been seeing. So a little bit more basics precision, I think, from both teams.
A bit more zip in the 23. Ball bouncing through a couple of times, another signal for a long corner.
Yeah, it takes
good time to score this.
Yeah. See, these hard crosses into the D can be very useful, but forwards need to be getting on it. And there's another example of whose fault was that, really? Was it the person who passed it, or did the forward not lead hard enough? It's a combination of the two often.
Aerial down the sideline. That's been... did that go out of play directly? I think it did.
I think it must have done, yeah.
Definitely try not to overplay this, but it's not been a vintage couple of minutes, has it?
It hasn't, and you know, we have to say what we see, don't we? We've seen quite a lot of errors from both teams that has not helped the action.
That's a
Henry Croft stumbling, yeah, still got the ball.
He's done very well.
Seems to find himself a bit of space.
And that is a free hit for Beeston in a promising position.
Yeah, it was a bit of a battle for Henry to stay on his feet and get through that, but he's won a free hit in a dangerous place.
Eddie Harper with a ball at the end of his stick decides to roll it back, trying to shape the angle, trying to find a route through to the circle which allows Brooklands to come out and move the shape a bit. This time it's bounced all the way through, and it's a long corner again.
Yes,
nice speed in that attack, and a couple of passes that came off at speed as
yes, well. That's right, yeah. And of course the point is to feed the D with as many times as you can, so that you can create as many options for shots, corners, goals. Got a bit of movement from the forwards there.
Little lofted ball into the circle, real scramble. I think Croft going to ground again. It was.
Yeah, he was a bit too far away from the ball for that to have been an offence on him, I think. Easy little pass to get out of trouble for Brooklands here, but they've taken it back.
Tempter for Joe Waterson, who might have been able to get closer to that.
Well, I think that's a really good point, Andy, because that's another thing. You just sort of said, what could teams do better? They could really close down in a bit more threatening way, maybe pinch the ball in a more dangerous part of the pitch.
Brooklands edging towards the further forward to the edge of the circle, but once again Beeston equal to that attack.
That pass should go. Waited far too long to give that ball to Eddie Harper, who had space. O'Connor Sign just dwelling on the ball too long. It just slows down the progress.
60 seconds on our match clock. I think we're not likely to see any more goalmouth activity between now and the end of the half.
I think it would be a bit of a surprise, but so Josh Pavis a number of times has had the ball and not really been able to see, and Brooklands have stolen it from the midfield, and this is open space here.
Played across the face of goal, gone. A combination of goalkeeper and defender working well to block the attack, and
really good reaction from Simon Hudge on that. He stopped that completely.
Right in the T point of the circle, ball in again and watched and away. Can Beeston see this off? Yes, they can.
Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, they've been lucky to get away with that.
There's a chance on here, and there's a who's going to win the foot race. Beeston have got a chance here. Open goal, it's been saved brilliantly and turned in for the opening goal of the game in the final seconds of the half.
Well, that attack should have resulted in a goal. It didn't quite come as a tidy finish, but very well followed up by Joe Waterston there to put that in the net.
I would be intrigued on the replay just to see how close this was to the end of the half.
That's where I thought the pass should have gone a bit earlier. That was well saved by Alex Erland.
Well, it's a legitimate goal.
I think it was Brendan Andrews who scored, but that's
the final touch of the half.
Yep.
How about that?
That's great finish. Great
finish.
So
that moment where we were saying, well, I was saying, I don't think we'll see much more goalmouth action.
See,
Brooklands had a chance, which was saved brilliantly by Hudgwan and a defender. Beeston went up the other end and scored the opening goal of the game. How about that? So that is the opening goal of the game. We were thinking it wasn't going to come, and there it
You're
occurred.
creating the action, Andy.
Yeah, pulling the strings from inside the chapel as ever on BTV. Well, what we'll do is catch our breath from that and assess what we've seen over the last 35 minutes. And
Yes.
We've got a 10-minute half-time break while the wisdom of both sets of coaches impart that onto
Yes,
their
that's
team.
right.
So let's see if we can catch. Put that graphic on the screen. Beeston 1, Brooklands Manchester University 0. That goal come from Brendan Andrews just moments before the end of the half. This is BTV. Welcome back to BTV. Beeston leading with the very, very final touch of the first half. Brendan Andrews' goal right at the end of that half, the difference. What has happened over that 10 minutes? We were talking about what would have happened if it was 0-0.
Yes.
How did that transform things for
I think both sides have had these counter-attack type opportunities and they haven't really come to anything. That one was a very clear counter-attack because Brooklands had very nearly scored at the other end. A lot of space. I think Beeston made hard work out of it, but fortunately it fell to Brendan Andrews, who was ready and was able to tap in a difficult bouncy ball. So, as we were saying, we didn't expect a goal with the time that was left on the clock, but nevertheless, there it was.
It was, and you do use all 35 minutes in that 35-minute window.
Yes, yeah. Credit to Beeston for having another go at it, really, because the game will kick off now. I wouldn't expect Brooklands to settle for that at all. So, if anything, it might make this a bit more of an active fixture now.
Certainly, Beeston have got something to defend. Brooklands know what their game plan is. They've got to get on the score sheet, or they're going home with nothing.
Yeah, and they do have a very good way of doing that. They have a real short corner threat. So if they can win penalty corners, that will be the thing that Beeston need to defend against.
We're rolling again. Second half underway on BTV. Just to fill you in, it's Beeston in all black. They're playing from right to left as the camera looks in this second half. And attacking the car park end, Brooklands Manchester University, who we'll be referring to just as Brooklands throughout the half,
yes,
in the white, blue and red, playing right to left as Beeston are in the circle for the first time in the second half.
Yep.
Brooklands playing left to right, attacking the boulevard end. Right, ticked everything off there.
Yeah, that's good. Brooklands' intent there, high press straight away, but Beeston have got out of that and found themselves into a dangerous part of the pitch where they can try and develop something from this high right position. They'll need to get the ball out of this tight area, and that's been nicely fed into the D, just enough for a long corner.
Sweeping hand is the signal. There's a bit of movement onto the left-hand side. Joe Paul.
There is, yeah, I was going to say that looks like quite an open position.
Directly onto the stick.
Yeah,
firm defence.
You could see that it was unravelling as a straight pass, but that's a bit of effort there from Henry Croft to win that back. Tight in the middle of the park there.
Hayden Cares in the middle of your picture with the good shielding work for Brooklands. That's been allowed to bounce. Goalkeeper Hudgwan having to come a long way from his goal. If he can be bypassed here, it's almost certainly a goal for Brooklands.
They'll be looking for a corner or a shot.
And that flashed by, and I think did that hit, as the ball ended up coming off Simon Hudgwan into the goal, but I'm not sure why the play was stopped.
I think it might have hit a player on the, possibly wasn't going straight at the goal, so. Dangerous moment. I mean, intent, you can see already Brooklands' intention has changed. Look where the forwards are now in comparison with the first half in Beeston's D, forcing Beeston to be much quicker on that transfer of the ball.
But it does mean that if you can get past them, there's more green space behind.
And I think this is what tends to happen. The goal opens up the game. We've seen that many times. A couple of misses there, and a little bit careless there from Connor Sign has left that ball with Brooklands. Oh, and there we go.
Penalty corner number 1 for Brooklands.
I think that's the card as well. Yeah, that's Joe Paul. Just really a bit of a clumsy tackle there. I don't think he's got much to complain about, to be honest. That was a moment there. The trigger point was the lack of collection of the ball by Connor Sign. And it's like we said, Brooklands have a very good corner routine.
So we were looking at potential corner takers. We've got Andrew Jackson, who's converted 2, Peter Flanagan with 4.
Yes.
Both of them who are on
I think they're on the pitch, yeah.
And as ever, the first time the stuff comes out the bag. What we do have time for is a quick show of the graphic to show the corner count, which we should have here. 1 for Beeston in quarter 1. And there you can see Brooklands now with 1 in quarter 3, 1 apiece.
Well, I think if I was coaching Brooklands, I'd be telling him to win corners because it's definitely something they can do well. I'm just looking at the Peter Flanagan there, number 16. He's obviously lining up Ben Wallace on the second of the castles behind Aidan Care's number 9. Call these two trapping positions castles, and you can see there might be a bit of adjustment here just to try to fool the running lines of the defenders. But I suspect this will go to Peter Flanagan, and Beeston going to have to be careful.
Brooklands ready to receive the ball. Towards the right-hand side, it's taken a bit of a battering through, and I think we've got a repeat.
I think that was number 1 runner, Henry Croft, who is he's no shrinking violet when it comes to running out number 1. He seems to get right in the face of the flicker, and it's actually hit him on his protective pads there. Seems to be all right. It's quite a brave position to run from, number 1 on defensive corners. You're basically just running straight at the man who's going to flick that ball at you. For some reason, Henry Croft seems to enjoy doing it. Here we go again.
Trap is good. Play towards the right-hand side. It's a routine, and that's been defended brilliantly.
Well, if you watch that closely, the number 2 runner for Beeston has read that very well indeed and upset that movement that Brooklands were trying to perfect. Ball passed to the right and then slip back for the man to carry on and flick it, and Beeston have defended that well.
That's one to watch on the highlights reel later on.
Yes.
Still not ahead of harm's way, so a huge aerial ball towards halfway. Samapula has to duck to move out of the way, but it's been cleared.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what you need to do. Josh Pavis was squeezed into the corner. They didn't have much of a route out, except for his pass to Robbie Gleeson, who threw a long aerial.
Pressure coming down the Beeston left-hand side, into towards the circle, takes a touch from Brooklands, long corner.
Yeah, again, Peter Flanagan there was very low defensively. Samapula trying to get that ball into the D, but Brooklands' defence is strong. Into that tight area.
Joe Paul's suspension is over, by the way. Full complement back on.
Yeah, that's hit Henry Croft's foot, so quick restart from Brooklands, throwing an aerial. Yeah, that should have been the honour to receive that to the Beeston defender, and Brooklands closed the gap down. Skill. Oh, I thought Gareth Griffiths got through then.
The interesting ball patrols running along, keeping up with play, which is probably not in the coaching manual for ball patrol.
But it's definitely quicker than the first half. I think it's like we said, you know, the goal changes the way both teams perform. Often happens in games of hockey.
Long whistle, I definitely heard there, and it's a Beeston ball on the second attempt, I think.
Yeah, starting waiting for the umpire to restart this. I think that's Brooklands nicely shaped. There's a little ring around there, but that ball's got through. A flash past the post then. Yeah, Beeston did well to get that ball into the D, because Brooklands had actually formed a tight ring around the free hit, but they found the gap through. Didn't quite fall well enough to a forward for an accurate deflection. Something that you mentioned off air during the half-time break is we haven't seen Oliver Firth for Beeston yet. No, I hadn't spotted him on the pitch. He's a young lad trying to find his way, and it may have got a bit of a collision here.
Handshake, nice to see everyone's all friends after all.
So maybe Ollie Firth will get his chance.
So at the moment, another way
That's
to
nice.
read that is that Beeston have only utilised 14 of their match day 16, because Stephen Wood has also not been.
That's right, yes. Trying to sort of stick with the...
That's been blocked again by Hujwan. Second very important stop.
Well, Simon Hujwan's being called into this more and more now. That ball was with Beeston as they tried to escape, and they gave it back to Brooklands, and it resulted in a shot on target. Little signs of things to come, I think, if they're not careful.
Attempt to get the ball in, that's been seen off, and that could have worked out very neatly. Gareth Griffiths in the middle of that movement In fact,
and
as
he's
he won
won it back, and now there is some open space here.
Griffiths goes into space, but the shot is played in towards the upright, and there was a big "oh" from the crowd. It was that a lot closer than it appeared from our angle.
I think it was quite close, and Henry Croft taking route one, as you would expect him to do, and got a good old amount of power on that, but it wasn't on target. Gareth Griffiths was available for a pass, I think, but a little bit feisty now. There's a few little complaints about decisions and clashes between players, so obviously more entertaining when it gets like that.
We were in the preparation for this game. There was a match on before us, but break off as the shot is blocked again on the foot. The ball is live in the circle.
Robbie Gleeson trying to get that out to safety and was tackled, and it resulted in another shot which Simon Hunchines had to save.
And we will break off now for a Beeston free hit. I was saying that when we were preparing, there was a very lively, in euphemistic terms, match on before us.
There was. Today's game was a National League game between Alderley Edge and Beeston second team.
Yes, and that was as equally as loud and as passionate as this one.
Yes, that's right. Resulting in a 2-0 win for Beeston, which I think preserves their status as a National League club.
Another breakdown. The intensity has gone up a notch here at Nottingham Hockey Centre on BTV.
Scrapping, everybody's scrapping for everything now, so you can hear the noise level was quite high.
More whistles as well.
I think the umpire started speaking through his whistle.
Now, this restart, I thought there was going to have to be some retreating happening there, which eventually did occur. Hammered in towards the top of the circle, straight through. It's almost like it went through, there was a hole up here in the stick.
Difficult, that kind of pace and power. Probably the best you can do as a deflection, and was travelling. Richard Slater was trying to get on the ball there. That's with. Oh, I think that might be a card. But there's a bit of space here.
Beeston, I think, given advantage. Ball turned into the circle. There was a shooting opportunity briefly, but it was gone. And now we are going to see a stoppage.
Well, that's going to be potentially a card. Is that Henry Croft on the floor there, I think? The umpire's got his hand in his pocket. Yep. But what's going to happen at the other end as well?
That looks like a green from this distance. And that does not look good at all for the player on the ground.
Yeah, Henry Croft in a bit of difficulty there. Trying to get back and make a tackle from probably a little bit too far away, and he's ended up hurting himself.
It's Mike Wood who's been shown the green card for Brooklands, so he will depart from the field of play at the moment. The concern is about the well-being of the Beeston player, who also gets a card as he makes his way off.
I suspect he might not be coming on after the end of that card. He looks in a bit of pain there. His knee.
He must say, in comparison to a couple of weeks ago, it's a quieter game, but he has been effective when he's been on the ball. Yes. And we were saying a few moments ago as well about the squad depth at Beeston. So there's only 13 players in circulation during this game for Beeston now.
That's right. And I think the presence of Beeston having two National League sides, with the second team being in the North Conference League, on a day like today when both games are being played, makes it difficult. And I think that's why there's been a bit of a shortage in the first team squad. But I think everybody will need to resettle a bit here. There was a couple of clatters and a couple of cards, and I think it shows the intensity that the teams are introducing to this now, both wanting to get goals and obviously get the wins, and they're fighting hard for it now. Brooklands' route back for me, I think, is going to be through a corner.
That was blocked. Josh Pavis didn't know too much about where the ball was, but he blocked it. The ball, again, blocked at the edge of the circle. Chaos reigns.
Now, that was a very good tackle by the Beeston defender. I can't quite see who that was, but...
just having a look out of the window, I think there's another bit of intervention here from the umpire. I think it's more in the realms of a chat rather than anything serious. And
Yeah,
I think
Robbie Gleeson on the floor there. So
the umpire having a chat with with Bev Deakin, who's the technical official today as well.
and I think both teams exerting their physical presence on this a bit now, and we're seeing these clashes between players. A lot of people don't think hockey's a contact sport, but I can assure you it is.
You can see that Henry Croft is not sitting on the suspension bench. He's sitting there with the ice pack on his knee.
Yes,
It looks like from this distance, an awful lot of pain.
It does, yeah. I think that's a sign that his match time is done today.
This is, you can see Aidan Cares, who's deep in discussion, but friendly discussion with one of the Beeston players on the far side. He's the fellow in the vest at the moment. Because he's one of the coaches as well at Brooklands, so for him to be on the sideline, he needs to be in something differentiating.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Aidan's a very knowledgeable hockey player. I'm not surprised he's found his way into coaching. I was sort of hoping that Henry Croft might have taken a hit on the leg rather than anything else, because he doesn't want... the last thing hockey players want is damage to knee, ligaments, and... So hopefully it'll be just bruising.
What we will do is do some formalities. It means that both sides are down to 10 currently. We'll give you an idea of how long is left, or when the full complement is available for both teams, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. So 10 versus 10, 9 outfielders for both sides.
Well, we thought this game was always, we called it the derby fixture, didn't we, Andy? It's a battle, both, as I say, both teams knowing each other well, and I think it can be described as being a bit more feisty this half than it was before.
Beeston looking to clear, wrong footing the midfield, who was Peter Flanagan, the captain.
Yes.
But it's now, again, there's a real zip and intensity about the game, and I think we've not seen the umpire's notebook come to a close. I think we'll be seeing a few more cards before the end.
I think there's a lot of closing down on whoever the player on the ball is, and some of that's gone a bit physical. But again, a similar trait from the first half, a lot of unnecessary giving of the ball away by both teams. Not sort of looking after possession for long enough.
So Brooklands having the opportunity to maintain possession under a little bit of pressure, so the direct route to the ball being blocked off by Beeston. So that's
a lot of space there. Oh, and a slip from
Watson plays the ball into the circle, but good angle to be behind to watch that bounce and skip off the field.
Yes, yeah. It's a strange one really, because he's not really targeted any particular forward, and the pass wasn't particularly of any quality, so it's just gone straight off the back of the pitch.
Both teams are back up to a full set of 11 players. But we won't be unlikely to see Henry Croft again during the game.
I would think so. I was just trying to see who the forward might be that's come on in his place.
Might this be the opportunity to see Firth?
Well, I think in a game like this, they've got him on the squad. He's a busy, skillful player. It might be worth having a look.
Ben Wallace with a good step forward for Brooklands.
That's good.
Into the circle, and that's another penalty corner.
As we said, this is Brooklands' way back in. If they can win corners, and enough of them, it will get increasingly difficult for Beeston to defend. And that's an absolute reason why Beeston mustn't turn the ball over so often when travelling away from danger. That's very nicely passed in there, and a very obvious win of a penalty corner.
So the last couple we've seen Andrew Hobson, the injector, number 10 for Brooklands. This time going over Leo Watton. Three corners for Brooklands, all coming in this third quarter now.
Well, Simon Hudjwan, we've seen him become involved much more in this half, and he's going to need to be on his mettle here.
David Flanagan near the edge of the circle. I think this is a sign that there's a routine coming.
Yeah, and the change position for, I think, Peter Flanagan. And there we go, he's switching over now. There's a trap from his brother. Oh, they've mistrapped it. That is helpful.
Still live, though. And it's being played towards the goal. Goalkeeper alert to it. And it's another penalty corner. Good pressure for Brooklands.
Yeah, it is very good pressure from Brooklands. I mean, Beeston were unlucky there because they actually defended that quite nicely off the mist trap. And it's a shame they haven't taken that away. At this point there, it was nicely defended, but that must have been the point where it had hit a foot.
I think it's most likely to have been Robbie Gleeson who
Yes.
was closest to that. Same or different this time?
I think they'll go the same. There we go. That's straight in. That's well,
huge noise again coming from the field of play. That was blocked.
Well, that was a great run out from Brendan Andrews. I mean, taking over admirably from Henry Croft's line. He got right out to that. It must have hit him somewhere on the legs, lower legs, and so a third reward. Dangerous moments.
Keeping the stats bunker very busy indeed.
It's these sorts of barrages of corners that get tricky to defend. This is the third one in a row.
Played towards the goal, and that's been flicked out of the air, and finally Beeston can come away with the ball.
Yeah, breathe a sigh of relief.
Felix Tully, interestingly, went from the edge of the circle to linger towards the right-hand post, expecting a deflection that never came.
Yes. Well, the lines of running that defenders make are practiced really to make sure that they cut off all of the angles for the straight flick, and then if the ball is moved, that they can adapt and react to those changes. And I think, to be fair, Beeston have done that quite well there. But that is the trouble, I think, that we've just seen there. That ball turned over and back into a dangerous area.
Long corner awarded.
Yeah, I think for Gareth Andrew as the coach, he's going to be very frustrated by that, I think.
60 seconds until the third quarter is over. Is there time for Brooklands to give this spell the goal it probably deserves?
They're looking for something here.
And it won't come.
No. Dangerous. I mean, there was a bit of progress down that baseline, and of course the slip ball, but we've got to the quarter break.
And that is three-quarter time. And quite... obviously, there were a few delays in that one, so the match clock may not be exactly as the umpires see it. But what we do have is a third quarter score. Beeston 1, Brooklands, Manchester University 0. Brendan Andrews' goal right at the end of the first half, the difference. Is that it for the goal scoring?
What do we say there? I suspect not. I have a feeling that the opportunities that are being presented for both teams now are likely to lead to another goal somewhere. Brooklands are obviously pushing very hard now. They've been in Beeston's D a number of times, and they've had that barrage of corners. So from Beeston's point of view, they need to not give corners away.
Looking to the side of the bench, the left of your picture, without being able to identify, I would say that is Henry Croft, who's currently holding his leg.
Yes.
And receiving a lot of attention from concerned friends and family, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And a very delicate placing of the ball on the half-times. On the halfway spot.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Great precision. Now, as I say, the hope that the Henry Croft situation is not knee joint damage of any sort. I mean, to some extent you can put up with being hit with the ball or a stick, because that gets better quickly, but it's if you damage your knee joints as a young hockey player. Part of the match fitness that's necessary is to make sure that you move around a hockey pitch in a balanced way, and that because it's an awkward position to be running with a ball sometimes, and it places a lot of stresses on, certainly on knees and lower backs.
It will be Beeston, the home side in all black, that will restart the final quarter of the game, get us going again. And already a couple of challenges have been missed and bypassed, and Beeston moving quickly towards the baseline into the circle. Players have stepped back, it's been carried over the baseline.
Well, that is unfortunate, because I thought that Eddie Harper there, I thought he had that, and he's let that run off the back of the pitch, which is a shame. Now there's space here for Brooklands. Very end-to-end stuff going on now. Still got the ball.
No real route towards the edge of the goal, but it has been turned in from close distance. How did that get through? And Brooklands are level.
Well, he was held up well in the D, and obviously powered across the face of the goal and a couple of deflections, and then it goes. And we thought this was going to happen.
Felix Tully is the player you're keeping an eye on to the right-hand side of the goal, but how did this ball make its way through such a crowd of players?
Very, very good indeed. The first feed from the baseline was accurate, the deflection was accurate to the post, and easily finished. But to some extent, I think, Andy, that's been coming. We've seen that coming over the last 15 minutes, really, and it's no surprise that it's got to 1-1.
And also a brightest possible start for Brooklands in the fourth quarter.
Let's give them a lot of energy now. They'll, look for this win away from home. Both teams know how important it is to to pick up this last 1 or 3 points to see them safe and preserve their Premier League status for next season.
Also, I might need to get the abacus account out to count.
Yes.
I think that's probably what I was trying to say. This point at the moment is enough for a relegation to occur, I think.
Yes, I think that's right, yes. Now there's a bit of space again. There's a lot of space in the game now because both sides striving for a win. This is where you need to increase the advantage that you've created when you've managed to get it into this part of the pitch, maintain that possession, and at least make sure that you get that ball into the D to create some danger.
Yeah, 3 games would remain. Brooklands would move on to 14 points.
Yes.
And that would mean that there wouldn't be enough for University of Exeter to overtake Brooklands. But we'll get the stats counters and various abacuses or abaci.
So if we can work that out. Chance there for Beeston to have potentially won a corner, but unfortunately that didn't come off. But they've got the possession again. This is where they need to exert their strength and not turn the ball over easily. Oh, that was just going to happen, wasn't it?
Will Prentice did very well, and then it just ran out of good luck.
Yeah, Joe Wolston there, absolutely nowhere to go, and he had 4 Brooklands defenders around him really, and it needed to be taken out of that tight space. Didn't happen. Now the ball's back with Brooklands, who seem to me to be passing this ball around a little bit more slickly than they were. Yeah, winning free hit on the sideline. Oh, an aerial, where's this going?
Bounced and taken down. Here's the goal scorer playing the ball in towards the right hand side of the goal. Hits the frame of the goal on the foot.
Yeah, Felix Tully there, just the bit of a mistake that when you feed the ball into the D, it has to go into an open area in front of the goal. Just to hit it past the post like that is a bit of too easy a giveaway. So his angle of strike wasn't very helpful for Brooklands. Now that is again
promising, but not quite
enough. No.
However, another freebie given away. Beeston crossed the halfway line. Slip ball back, I thought may have been the option. Good stuff from Gleeson. Continues his run. And the support over in front of the goal. If he gets his pass away, it's chipped in. Long corner. And I think we're seeing for the first time
Oliver Firth, lurking in front of the goal.
So that's a debut in the Premier Division.
Yes.
For the youngster.
He could have got a goal there if that was...
what could have been his very first touch.
Yes, still in there. Where's that gone?
Taken down, 3 hits through the aerial.
Yeah, a bit of pressure from Beeston here, just right on the edge of the D. Looking at the distances from the restart to players.
Played in low, bounces off the Brooklands defence.
Yeah, you see again, I think the feed into the D there is not very helpful when it's on that post. It needs to be in front of the keeper, or maybe across to the keeper's right-hand post, just to make it a little bit more tricky for the defence to sort out.
Nice ball into space. That's one to
something.
run in for Collinson, who makes his way to the baseline. Appeal for something, but
how has he not managed to win a corner from that?
Did he play it onto his own?
I think he played it onto his own foot, yeah. Which is the second time he's done that. That's a pity, that is, because that's quite an easy position to actually win a corner from, if you concentrate.
I will say as well, the pace that he was going into the circle as well, that's a better...
Yes.
Rather than just receive the ball and take a step, the pace is difficult to defend.
Yes, it is. Yeah, very direct. Easy for a defender to make a mistake and give the corner away, but his own skills have let him down, I think. Tight again over there. Just trying to find a bit of space, and there they have done. So the question is now, to what extent do you go for it? Do you want the point and protect it, or I would imagine Brooklands are going to be going for this. So
Brooklands ball, I think.
Ben Collinson just closing down the forward, who should have been able to receive that ball in space, but they've run it off the back of the pitch now. So restart for Beeston.
As things stand, Beeston would be leapfrogging Oxted with a draw, because they have a better goal difference. They'd be both on 19 points. Doesn't make a great heap of distance, but I think certainly in terms of confidence and bragging rights, finishing top of the lower 5 is a good thing. But at the moment, this could still go either way. Brooklands,
yes, it could. Yeah, I mean, again, the Beeston turning this ball over in such difficult areas. I mean, that's really
behind.
It's unfortunate from Brooklands' point of view, because that's so much space, and it was unnecessary that they were given it.
Pula runs into trouble, goes to ground. I think
I think they feel that was Gareth Griffiths just trying to get a bit of an advantage with a quick restart, slightly from the wrong place.
And that is lofted, knocked away, and underneath that, Oliver Firth, the player that we're keeping a close eye on for. 2 balls briefly on the field of play. Joe Paul, who received a green card earlier, with
space,
with a look.
Yeah, just forced to pass it back out again. Brooklands just pressing a little bit further out to stop Beeston's progress into the D on that side of the pitch, so they're forced to transfer it round to the other side.
Less than 10 minutes to play.
This is Oliver Firth on the ball.
Big call of umpire, which I heard in my ears. I don't know if you picked up that. There's a moment where it could have been turning towards the circle.
I'm not sure that was a very good choice of pass from Joe Paul there, because it was very easy for Brooklands to step out and defend that.
Panesar brilliantly to Apula. Played in this time, bouncing, taking a couple of touches. I think it might be Oliver Firth's job to just linger in front of Alex Earlham.
Absolutely right. I think that's right. It's
be a nuisance.
The 2 youngsters up against each other, see what comes into the D.
Certainly if you're building up pressure like this, and that's pretty much what happened with Felix Tully's equalising goal, just to be there at the moment that you needed the most.
Yes.
Free hit left hand side.
Hit there. Now the quality of the ball into the D here, if that's what they're going to do. I suspect they'll just transfer it round and see, looking for an opening.
Space on the right hand side, and it is moved out towards the right hand side. A little bit more aggressively than I thought. I thought it was going to the player further back than it actually.
Which I think would have been the right pass, because that was potentially a turnover ball, but they've got away with it.
Nice turn. Is there a moment to upgrade this? It's a Beeston ball. 8 minutes and change to play.
Yeah, good opportunity here to try to work this ball into the D. All forwards should be alert to anything flying in like that, but it's being stopped by Brooklands.
Congestion in midfield.
Good work rate defensively from Beeston there. That ball's looking like it's
being dealt with by Robbie Gleeson. Big pressure coming in, but that's a very calm turn and a route out, and the pace coming over halfway for Beeston.
Sam Apula just trying to find a bit of space here. Can he create anything?
Ball and whistle blows.
A bit of a foul on him, I think.
Sure where.
This is where they need to win a corner.
Towards the baseline, long corner again.
I do believe that a corner for Beeston in this phase would be quite useful. They've had a lot of pressure around the top of the D, over the 25-yard line, the 23-metre line, and they need to upgrade this and get a set piece out of it.
Panesar does well to under a lot of pressure to maintain possession of the ball for Beeston.
Not sure why it didn't go forward then, but this is working out in another part of the pitch.
Another Beeston ball. We've seen 1 penalty corner for Beeston so far in this game, which was unorthodox.
Yes, I think that's what they could do with getting another set piece now, particularly bearing in mind the time on the clock. Got a lot of possession in this last third, Brooklands' defensive zone.
Another Beeston ball. Clock ticking away.
I do like to see forwards getting really low and expecting stuff, because the ball can flash into the D very quickly from these positions, and you have to be ready for it. And there's a corner, and that's precisely what they should have been doing. Brooklands not happy with that, but not quite sure why.
Musson, if you can talk us through the replay.
Yep. Well, I think the intent from Beeston to create something here was quite good. You know, the ball was retained there by Robbie Gleeson. He's given himself a bit of space, struck the ball, and it's been deflected upwards, and for me that looks like it's off for...
I think David Flanagan, number 11, is closest to it. I'm not saying that he was the cause of the penalty corner, but he turned to the umpire a little bit surprised, but...
I think he's saying it was outside the D, and I think that's what the umpires agreed as well.
Or has it been...
Yeah, so Beeston have a restart right on the edge of the D, because the umpire's changed his mind. So Brooklands' little complaint there has worked. They'll probably try again. A bit too long on that, I think. Surely Beeston can't be looking to play the time down. Yes, I wouldn't have thought.
No, unless because they can see from the position they're in, the match clock is on a big tower.
Yes.
To the right of the camera, so there is one that's visible for the players.
And Brooklands have found their way out now. Beeston need to slow this down really quickly. And Salapula working flat out there. 3 Beeston players getting in on that. Brooklands have skillfully found their way out through the midfield.
No, bit of a burst on the whistle.
Ball gone back to Beeston. Pity that Beeston didn't get that corner. It would have been a useful time to win one, but there's still time to actually put that right now. Got a space. That ball moving around at pace. That's nice into the midfield, but it's, oh my goodness me, what an awful place to give the ball away from Suki Panasar. Well, he needs to think about that, because that was far too easy for Brooklands to create an attack out of. Careless moment, to say the least, and they're in the D again.
Turn towards goal. It's hit
the post. Well, I mean that was so lucky from Beeston's point of view, and it all came about because of a poor piece of skill in the middle of the park from Suki Panasar, causing all kinds of trouble for Beeston. So can they? So that ball fed into the middle, has been stolen again. This is such a...
Goalkeeper's been beaten,
that is absolutely dreadful from Beeston's point of view. I don't mind saying that, because on 2 occasions they've made exactly the same mistake.
David Flanagan, number 11 for Brooklands, score in 2019, score in 2020, and score in 2022 as well.
Yes, I mean look at this. Look, that is just awful. You can't have players doing that in the middle of the park at this phase of a game.
It's Andrew Jackson. I did see David Flanagan going through. He was the player with the assist.
Yes.
Andrew Jackson, the player who's been instrumental in putting the ball in the goal.
Well, I mean that is a pure giveaway, and there was a lesson literally 30 seconds before when Suki Panasar did exactly the same thing. I can imagine Gareth Andrew on the side will be going absolutely bonkers about that.
So, what does this do in terms of positions? It means that Beeston will stay on 18 points and in second place in the lower 5. Brooklands move on to 16 points, 2 points behind Beeston, and it looks like it's Exeter's stay in the top flight is over as things stand.
Yes.
Unless there's another twist in this tale.
Well, the position that Beeston find themselves in here is completely unnecessary, and you know, those little errors that we've been talking about throughout the whole of the game were just absolutely brought to a head at that point.
There's space on the right-hand side of the circle.
Where's that going? That should have been into the D, I think.
It is this time. And then flicked in, chance that's evaporated.
Yeah, and it has fallen back to Beeston. Where will they go with this?
2.5 minutes to play.
Can they create anything to get
another Beeston free
here?
Beeston free hit. So not a great deal of distance between Brooklands and the ball on the restart. Long corner.
They do need to win this short corner, I think. The whole of the Brooklands team are back in defence now to see out this win.
Simon Hushman on his haunches and back up on his feet now. Collinson, swing and a miss.
And the whole idea of a hit at that point, again, utterly unnecessary. That's not the right skill to be using at that point on the pitch.
The way all the players disappeared from the umpire there, I wondered if that was an early full-time whistle.
Yes.
No, it wasn't. We are still going. Aerial ball to chase. Cares, takes it down and takes it into the corner. A very professional way to do things at this stage of the game.
Yeah, he's...
Beeston ball, though. They need to... And that's a foot, and that's a... Brooklands can afford to give away a few niggly fouls.
They can, yeah, that's right. They need to stop any kind of progress that Beeston have left in them.
Again, the noise levels increase at Nottingham Hockey Centre. Who's first to that? There's space in the centre. Can it be found? It's been turned towards goal. It's bounced a couple of times, been hit away. Still live. Penalty corner, Beeston, with 60 seconds left on the clock.
That was very, very close to being an equaliser. Some lovely skill down the baseline from Gareth Griffiths. Nearly made the slip connection, but I think we have to just look at Alex Earlham here. I think he might have made a super save. That bit of skill there. Yes, excellent, absolutely excellent.
Samapula with the shot. Earlham doing very well indeed. So with 30 seconds left, this may be the final action of the half.
I think that's right.
And the game. So Beeston will either go home with 1 point or none. Time is off. Going over to inject is Robbie Gleeson.
Well, I think the best option here would be, as we have seen before, something quite low into a corner. I think from Brooklands' point of view, Alex Earlham, he's a big lad, and he will. I think he'll see the sort of the higher flick stuff if it doesn't have absolute pace on it. But the thing that might be tricky is something that's low and difficult for him to see. So here we go.
Clock running. Trap is good. It's been worked its way to the edge of the circle, and that's too easy for Brooklands to deal with.
I think that's the wrong option on a final corner like that. Something's got to go and test the keeper.
The whistle goes. I thought that was a final whistle.
And that's just, I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed in some of the action I've seen from Beeston in that last quarter.
So while you sit and ponder your thoughts, I'll do the talking whilst you come up with some words that we can broadcast. Final score at Nottingham Hockey Centre in the Men's Premier Division. Beeston 1, Brooklands Manchester University 2. Final score, Brendan Andrews scoring with a final touch of the first half. Felix Tully equalising from close range, and a bit of a nightmare at the back, letting Andrew Jackson to score the winner for Brooklands Manchester University. And your thoughts now?
Well, the one thing we know about Brooklands is that they're never going to sit back and let a side beat them. So they were pushing gradually. We saw before half-time and certainly into the second half how they were looking for corners, and that worked out for them. They got their equaliser, and then I think you just have to put that down to a little mini catalogue of errors again from Beeston and giving them that second goal.
First win on this ground for Brooklands Manchester University, according to the stats, since the 26th of November 2017, when Brooklands won here 4-1, scoring Sam Perry and Oliver Clark, and 2 from Alex Humphreys that day.
Yes.
So,
well, credit to Brooklands there. They've taken themselves a long way away from any kind of issues, I think, as far as relegation is concerned.
And it also means Can we say that's confirmed the departure of Exeter from the Premier Division?
I think that's
I
right.
think we can, but we won't say it for sure. It doesn't. We can actually. The nod has come in. So University of Exeter, who were visitors here a couple of weeks ago, their spell in the top flight is over.
And Beeston travel to Durham next weekend. So that will be an opportunity for, hopefully, for Beeston to sort that one out. But they'll have to play better than they did today.
Yes, there were spells of good play and positive play, but just too much wasn't happening.
I agree. Yes.
The balls in weren't sticking. They were gifted possession away from time to time, and I think symptomatic of the performance was the second goal for Brooklands.
It was. Yes, I think that's right.
So while Muss will go and have a sieve to himself off air, this is me, Andy Day, reminding you that next week we're back on BTV. The match we'll have for you is Beeston versus Wimbledon. If you want to watch that one in person, it's here at Nottingham Hockey Centre, 26th of March at 2 o'clock. From all of us on BTV, from sunny Nottingham, it's time to pack up, and we'll be back with you very soon indeed. This is BTV. Yes, it's a steady start, and this is Connor Sine, who's had a look up and decided to play it backwards. Beeston building something now down the right-hand side. Robbie Gleeson fires it towards the top of the circle. Loose ball, opportunity played in, and that's been nudged behind. And look at the frustration on Samapula. He thought he could have tucked that away, I think.
Yep.
Slower, more deliberate ball.
Got through a very tight gap, that pass.
Here's a good angle to put the ball in. That's been opted against. It's towards the baseline now, into the circle. Chance here. And that's just...
This penalty corner, yes.
That was so close to being turned in.
Again, yeah. I think Robbie Gleeson was... I saw him move there, and I think he's fortunate to get away with that. It's better.
Towards the right-hand side of the circle. Lowe's taken a couple of touches and crunched through the air. Almost baseball style.
Yes.
It's needing a spark.
Yes. Oops. That was... Robbie Gleeson with his pace.
He's done very well here. He's gone through 3 challenges and he's directing where he wants the ball, and that's exactly. Oh, nice idea trying to find Joe Paul. I think he must have taken a touch on the way on here, and there's who's going to win the foot race. Beeston have got a chance here. Open goal. It's been saved brilliantly and turned in for the opening goal of the game in the final seconds of the half.
Well, that attack should have resulted in a goal. It didn't quite come as a tidy finish.
Good shielding work for Brooklands. That's been allowed to bounce. Goalkeeper Hudgwan having to come a long way from his goal. If he can be bypassed here, it's almost certainly a goal for Brooklands.
They'll be looking for a corner or a shot.
And that flashed by, and I think, did that hit
Brooklands? Very end-to-end stuff going on now. Still got the ball.
No real route towards the edge of the goal, but it has been turned in from close distance. How did that get through? And Brooklands are level.
Well, he was held up well in the D, and obviously. So can they? So that ball fed into the middle has been stolen again. This is such a.
Goalkeeper's been beaten,
That is absolutely.